Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Chris Crenshaw, and we are live from the 336 once again for episode 152 of the 815 Exchange. And my. Alright, we've got about 263 different things to talk about in entertainment. Not sport, just in entertainment. But of course, as always, remember to, look for the description if you want to skip ahead. Timestamps are provided along with everything else you might desire in this world, along with my social medias. But definitely timestamps are provided in the description. This is long form content. I get it. But yes, there's so much to talk about in music, in entertainment. But we also have baseball. In the NHL Draft, Bedard is finally a Blackhawk. We have NBA free agency, which has been an absolute madness. And of course, I know a lot of you are anticipating that. But yes, plenty to talk about, a lot of stuff to talk about in the Roundup. So yes, this should be a very, very packed episode. So this is another one where I would highly recommend go get your drink, go get your food, get ready, get comfortable, because it is about that time. Alright, it is about that time. We're going to switch it up a little bit. Seeing as we have no soccer, we have no combat sports until a Roundup, I thought, why not do baseball first? Why not do baseball first? Seeing as I have been spending quite a bit of time in Durham recently, the past couple months, watching either the ACC baseball tournament or tonight, probably when this is uploaded, I will be in Durham watching USA Baseball take on either Japan or Chinese Taipei, as I was on Saturday, which you would know if you follow me on my social media links. I feel like we should start with baseball. But before that, as always, remember to like, share, and subscribe if you guys are enjoying the content. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get straight to it, alright? Baseball. And before we get to USA Baseball, before we get to the MLB, of course we have to address the matter at hand. There was a national championship last week. And as all national championships are, they are on a Monday, which means I am talking about this quite literally 7 days after it happened, but that's just how it goes. When we left off, Florida had just set pretty much every offensive College World Series final record in Game 2 versus LSU. I mean, they obliterated them. Cags had 2 home runs. Wyatt Langford went off. I mean, everybody went off. I think they dropped 20 on LSU. Game 3 was the complete opposite. No classic. We had the classic in Game 1. That's all you're getting. Game 2, obliteration. Game 3, obliteration. LSU were national champions, and it wasn't remotely close. 18-4. And it wasn't that close. 18-4 is very generous, I'd almost say, for Florida, because it just was not close at all. There was a stark level difference, at least in Game 3. I could have said many different players to highlight one specific player for this particular game. I'm going to highlight Joe Barrett because he had a home run. He went 4 for 7, and had 3 RBIs. But I could have said Tommy White. Hell, I could have said Dylan Cruz. If they put Paul Skeens and let him hit one last time, he probably would have got a homer in this game. That's how bad it was for Florida. Alright? Cags, Jack Caglione, has had a god-awful week. Okay? He has had a god-awful, at least in games that I have seen Cags play, he has had an all-time bad week for such a good player. I mean, just bad. Bad. This was the game of nightmares for him. He's the superstar player, 1 game away. Everybody's talking about Jack Tani, comparing him to the best player on the planet and one of the greatest players of all time. And yeah, he's not Ohtani. He's just not. In the national championship game, essentially, Cags goes 0 for 3 Ks. 1.1 innings, 6 earned runs, and 2 Ks. Yes, that is right. Cags himself struck out more than he struck out LSU batters. It was a nightmare. I mean, it was the worst of Cags. He just had the all-time, for a Golden Spikes nominee, it's just the absolute worst game you could have. The absolute worst game you could have, and yeah, Florida never recovered from that, and they just got hammered. Alright, they got throttled. And LSU, Jay Johnson, they are national champions, and it's well-deserved, alright? Well-deserved. They were number 1 for a whole lot of the season, until they had a rough patch, and then Wake Forest took over. But besides that, man, LSU was class. They were the preseason favorite to win the national championship. When you saw they had Tommy White, they had Dylan Cruz, they had Paul Skeens, everybody was like, yeah, this is the team, and they delivered. They delivered. Congratulations, Cruz got his, cigar pick. He's, he got his ring. He got it. He got it. He got the whole LSU legend package. Got it all. But yeah, what a career for him. He's now projected, however, to go number 2 in the draft because Paul Skeens has taken over the number 1 spot, even though it's pretty much a stalemate between those two. But Skeens is now pretty much universally regarded as the number 1 prospect. Jackson Holliday, last year's number 1 overall pick, is now the number 1 prospect in the MLB after all of the graduations of Francisco, Jordan Walker, Ellie, I think he's number 2, but he's about to graduate. So, Jackson Holliday, last year's number 1 pick, he's the number 1 prospect. Paul Skeens could challenge for that immediately upon entry. Dylan Cruz also, so going to be very interesting. But LSU takes the national championship. Now, while Cags is not Ohtani, Ohtani is in fact still Ohtani. He is leading in OPS, ER. I feel like I say this every week. All right, he's still leading in a bunch of categories. He's at 31 home runs as of last night. It's ridiculous. Okay, he's running away. I think he's hitting 300 this year as well and has like a 3-something ER. He's ridiculous. Okay, it is one of the greatest seasons of all time. What Ohtani is chefing. The man hit 15 home runs in the month of June. He had 6 or almost 7 WAR, I think, combined for the month, pitching and hitting or something crazy. Okay, he's a monster. He's a monster. He's the best player in the world. It's not up for debate. He is the MVP. Also, not up for debate. No wonder he was the number 1 vote getter for All-Star selections. Shohei Ohtani is him. You knew that. You didn't need me to say that. But furthermore, he is him. Ronald Acuna is also him. I think the MVP race is pretty much shaping up to not really be much of an MVP race on either side for the AL or NL. All right, Ohtani's got a lockdown for the AL in the way that the Atlanta Braves are playing right now, in the way that Ronald Acuna is playing right now. It's not looking like it's going to be much of anything in the NL either. Acuna is on pace for 40 home runs and 70-plus stolen bases. Not a 40-40 club, right? Not a 50-50 club. Not a 30-30, a 20-20. He's already got 20-20, I think, actually. 40-70. That's ludicrous. That's ludicrous. That's absolutely ludicrous. But Acuna, another superstar that was deemed at a very young age to be a future superstar that is delivering on all cylinders this year. We've seen some injuries to some stars, but Acuna and Ohtani have been class. Of course, they are all-stars. The all-star selections came out. Trout making his 11th, Kershaw making his 10th were notable. The Braves, as I said, the best team in baseball. They have 8 of them: Strider, Acuna, Albies, the usual suspects. And yeah, one thing I learned that I did not know about All-Star selections is that every team has to have an All-Star, which I don't really like. I get it for like representation, but I don't really like that rule. It should just be the best players from the half season in the AL or in the NL. It shouldn't be every team, gets an All-Star. Michael Lorenzen is probably not an All-Star. He has a 4-something ERA. He hasn't been particularly great. I don't know if he's an All-Star. Over, somebody that could have been in the All-Star game that we would have wanted to see or was deserving, So I think that's a very interesting rule. I don't really agree with it. Y'all can let me know how y'all feel about it, but I don't really agree with that whole every team needs a selection. No. This is baseball. This is grown man sport. Not every team. It's not a participation. It's an all-star game. They should earn it. All right? They should earn it. Now, with that said, we'll let the NBA main event, as always. So we'll go to the NHL Draft, because we don't really have too much to talk about. But, of course, you know what we have to talk about. Similar to last week when we talked about Wemby is going to be a Spur. For the past month, we've known Connor Bedard is going to be a Blackhawk, okay? It's funny how the NHL and NBA somehow sync up like this, Similar seasons, championships happen at the same time, and then you got generational prospects. It's crazy how it links up. Anyways. Bedard is a Blackhawk, no surprise, but pretty much from there on, it was going to be absolute chaos. And it was absolute chaos. Pretty much the unexpected is what you were to expect, and that is essentially what happened. But, of course, this was a very, very good draft class, headlined by all that rich franchise center, all those franchise centers at the top, the Fantastic Five, if you want to call them, plus Michkov, who's not really a center, he's a winger, but nonetheless, he's part of the Fantastic Five. Bedard, going to the Blackhawks. So, who would Anaheim take number 2? Of course, they've got Zegras, they've got Mason McTavish, Drysdale, they've got, we know the young talent that the Anaheim Ducks have. Who would they add to that collection? They go Leo Carlson. A lot of people were like, yo, Adam Fantinelli, he's the second best prospect. Do they go Fantinelli? Nope, they go Carlson for the, 6'3", big body Swede, who also is very, very good. The Ducks, if you don't have hands, you cannot play for the Anaheim Ducks right now. That seems to be the way it's going. Unless you have the crispiest hands possible, you cannot play for the Ducks. Anyways, Carlson, he's going to Anaheim. Adam Fantinelli gets his wish. He wants to play for the Blue Jackets. He's going to Columbus. He goes number 3. Will Smith, the American, who burst onto the scene this past year. He goes 4th to San Jose. He's going to be a Shark. And who would get the generational Russian? The best Russian prospect since one Alexander Ovechkin, since the great eight himself. A lot of the Capitals, a lot of Capitals fans wanted that Ovechkin-Michkov link up, but it was not to be. Michkov, we knew he was going to fall farther than he really should have, but he fell to 7th, and he goes to the Flyers. I think it's a good move by the Flyers because Michkov is a beast. Of course, the question is, when is he coming? Everybody's kind of saying 3 years. They're expecting 3 years, which is fine. It's like Kaprizov. And Kaprizov came in immediately and was that guy, at least in Minnesota. So that's fine. That's fine. You just got to make sure he comes over. Michkov's team actually mentioned coming over maybe next year, so we'll see, okay? We'll see. I don't want the hockey world to be robbed of such a great talent that Michkov is, so I hope he comes over whenever he comes over, preferably as soon as possible, but at least in that 3 years. I would hate to see him kept any longer and, rob some years that he could have had breaking records or doing whatever, but yeah. Michkov, special player. Flyers get good value at 7. But yeah, NHL Draft, that was that. Of course, they got free agency going on. Kind of a weak free agency class, but we will see what happens. But yeah, NHL Draft, Bedard, new generational talent. We'll see who has a better rookie season. That's going to be really interesting. Does Bedard have a better rookie season in the NHL with the Blackhawks, or does Wemby have a better rookie season in the NBA with the Spurs? That's going to be very, very interesting to watch, but we will see. We will see what happens. And with that said, that brings us to entertainment. And before I talk about whatever the idol was, we're going to talk about Secret Invasion. Unofficial water break sponsored by Deer Park. Secret Invasion. I have loved this show so far. This has been fine. I have had no qualms. This has been a really, really good first 2 episodes. Really good first 2 episodes. It's going to be a stark contrast how I talk about this show, in contrast with the next show I'm going to talk about. Yeah? But Secret Invasion is great. Gravik, he's a very compelling villain. He took over, essentially, in this. He said, hey, listen, scroll leaders that we've put in these high positions, I'm taking over this committee. You can join or you can get out. So, yeah, they submitted, and Gravik is taking control. He's making moves. We found out that him and Fury have a personal connection, as he was brought to Fury at a young age, but now he's mad that Fury did not fulfill his promise of finding them a new planet, so he's deciding to take over Earth. Pretty cut and dry. But yeah, very interesting. Gaia and Gravik, we're seeing kind of the dynamic of that relationship. And Gaia doesn't seem all the way committed to the cause, so we will see if there's potential turn there. I wouldn't be shocked. Rhodey, a lot of people are expecting him to be a Skrull. We'll see. That seems to be the top prediction. Rhodey, however, gave it to Nick Fury. Fired Nick Fury, said, I'm not giving it to another mediocre brother just because you're a brother. It was great. All right, it was great. It was great. It was great. It was great. But yeah, we'll see what happens with Rhodey, where he goes. But yeah, loving to see him get a little bit more of a spotlight in Secret Invasion. Talos and Fury broke up, but we'll sure they'll make up soon. And we also found out at the end of the episode that Fury's wife is a Skrull, which had a lot of people thinking, yo, does Nick Fury know that his wife is a Skrull? Obviously, Nick Fury would know that his wife is a Skrull. Let's be honest. It's Nick Fury. Do you really think that Nicholas Fury would not know? International super spy, man that founded the event. He would not know that his wife is not a Skrull. Come on. Let's be ridiculous. But it also adds another personal element and kind of makes him a little bit hypocritical in terms of what he says to Talos, and they can't coexist because he's literally married to one. He's in love with one at least. So we will see. We will see. It's going to be very interesting, but Secret Invasion has been very, very, very good. You know what has not been good? The Idol. The Idol has not been good at all. It is terrible. It is terrible. I am not defending that show. Not that I have, honestly. You know, if they stuck the landing on this season finale, it would have at least been like mid, right? You could have been like, okay, it was a mid show. It wasn't great, but this was terrible. This was terrible. A terrible season finale. It just was oh my goodness, a god awful show. Because I don't know what the point of the show was, right? So, episode 5, season finale, or series finale, let's be honest, right? We finally see Jocelyn fight back against, her oppressors, fight back against Doris. She takes back control. They put on the performance in front of the execs. They save the tour. She kicks Doris out of her life. Chime, who was just fantastic this entire episode, he was a G. He pays Doris off to get out of her life. And basically all this stuff. Doris gets slammed by Talia in the Vanity Fair article, which also has me wondering, when Doris comes back, how in the world is Doris just allowed to walk? Knowing what we now know about Doris, on this big, massive article that was supposedly a big name, how is he just allowed to walk backstage at SoFi Stadium at Jocelyn's concert? How was he just just allowed to, nobody was like, yo, that's the guy. Should we be worried? No, nobody. I know he had to pass, but really? Anyways. Jocelyn then double crosses her team. She enlists Destiny to, give him this stern talking to, which was horribly written. And then she kisses him, and then she brings him on stage and is like, yo, this is the love of my life. Blah, 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 blah. And that's the end of the show. Okay? It was bad. It was just bad television. I love Abel. I love The Weeknd. I'm cool with Lily Rose Depp. I don't think she's as bad as some people say. I don't even hate Sam Levinson. But this was a god-awful show. This was a god-awful show. I mean, there was no point to it. What was the point of that ending? She what? She got control back, then brought him back under what premise? She gets assaulted, she gets all this stuff the whole show, and then she just submits, like Stockholm Syndrome. I don't understand the point of what the show was supposed to be about. It was just terrible. It was terrible. I tried not to, mark on the show and be like, yo, this is ass, besides the first one episode, but this was just bad, okay? This was garbage. Hot garbage, okay? It was terrible, okay? One of the worst shows of the year. Definitely not worthy of that glorious HBO 9 o'clock spot that all of the great shows of the past got. But, yeah, that's what it was. The Idol, hot garbage. However, in direct contrast to how bad the show was, The Weeknd is still good at one thing. He's still great at making music. So, of course, the music from the show has been great. And, of course, it ended. We had False Idols this week. The Weeknd, Lil Baby, and Susanna Sun. It was great. Alright? We got some very good music come out of this show. Terrible, terrible episodes of television. Okay? With absolutely no point to them. Hypersexual, just for really no reason. There was nothing of value gained from watching the show. But if you listen to the soundtrack, it was good. It was good. It was good. If we're judging, forms of media purely off of the soundtrack, it was good. It was good. It was good. Which is probably the course for Sam Levinson. But yeah, False Idols was good. But The Idol, not good. Anyways, we had a big week in music. Plenty of albums, plenty of songs. Not all of which I will recap, of course. For your pop fans, Olivia Rodrigo. For the rap fans, we had Riley Rodriguez. I just put together the connection of that Rodrigue at the end there. But, yeah. Heard both of those were phenomenal. Vampire by Olivia, I heard that was great. All of my friends, shout out to Will, who caped for Rylo Rodriguez all week. Said it was great. V's also dropped an album, heard it was great. But I didn't listen to any of that, okay? I'm not going to sit and lie to you. I didn't listen to any of that. So we will talk about the two albums that I did listen to and that I liked very, 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 very well. We'll talk about Pink Tape. But before we get to Pink Tape, which I know you're here for, Money Over Everything 4 by P Money was fantastic. I'm not going to give it a rating yet. But maybe retroactively we will give it. But it's probably like a... Actually, nah. I can give it a rating. I'll give it a 9. Alright? I'm going to give it a 9 on the dot. A 9. Okay? It was top tier. It was top tier. One of the best albums I've heard this year. He did not miss on a single solitary song. P Money is quickly becoming one of my favorite British artists. Yeah, one of my favorite rappers. He's the goods. Alright, he's the goods. He's a legend for a reason. Anymore and Y Feet Vortex, I think, were my two standouts for songs that I had not heard before as singles or freestyles, or that he had leaked himself on No Pixel. But yeah, Money Over Everything 4, I'm gonna give it a 9. Alright? Very, 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 very good. Trying to get into that British rap scene. Highly recommend it. It's not just complete grime, but you know, it's got that. It's also got some, you know, how do I describe it? Kind of EDM-ish with some rap thrown over it. So it's got some variety of genres in there, but of course it's a rap album. But yeah, still the goods, P Money. Pink Tape. Alright, Pink Tape. First off, 26 songs is absolutely ridiculous. Unless it's like a greatest hits album, which I can okay, because it's like a greatest hits. 26 songs, none of which were interludes, by the way. It wasn't like it was like an interlude or like a skit that stretches to 20. No, it was 26 songs. Too much. Too much. So you're never going to be an album of the year candidate. You're not. Okay? It is so incredibly hard to pull off a 20-plus song album. It is so incredibly hard. It's just so much music. But anyway. Pink Tape. Uzi. 26 songs. That was red flag number 1. Really, it felt like two sides. Like, the first side was classic Uzi. Side B was very heavily rock-based, which I didn't mind. I didn't like all of his rock stuff, to be completely honest. But, you know, one of them's one of my standout songs, and, you know, I admire, you know, artists branching out, trying different stuff. Him trying to show off his versatility. That's something he's interested in creatively. Then feel free for him to go for it. But the execution I didn't completely love. But it felt like a side A, side B album. Flooded the Face. Wake Up Uzi. That tagline, the adrenaline that kicked in. I just loved it. The Binks. Just, forget what song that was that Binks did. It may have been A Feet Trav. But anyways. Flooded the Face, Nakamura, and Werewolf will Bring Me the Horizon. My 3 favorite songs off the album. Nakamura, actually named after Shinsuke Nakamura, which is what I immediately thought as a WWE fan. I was like, yo, Nakamura, like Shinsuke? And yes, it was literally layered over Shinsuke's theme, so that was dope. Flood of the Face was heat, it was the intro. And Werewolf was a good rock song from Lil Uzi Vert. Didn't see that coming, but here we were. However, I'm going to give this album a 7.8. It wasn't on the lower end of the 7s. It's still above average, but it's a 7.8. Alright, it's not, you know, an album I'm gonna be like, yo, this was it. You know, it's not album of the year contender. It was a good album, but it had a lot of stuff that he could have cut down to make it an even better album. And sometimes I wonder, especially with like the newer artists, sometimes when they take these layovers, unless you're an NBA Youngboy, in which you just kind of print out music like people print out paper. You take these breaks and you come back with these like 20-song albums of all this music that you've done because you couldn't really cut it down. And it just kind of, it's a little bit too much. It's a little bit too much, and it wasn't quality all the way through. But people enjoyed the album overall. I enjoyed the album overall, but the best I can give this is a 7.8, maybe a 7.9. Don't really feel comfortable giving it to an 8 because it wasn't that quality. Not amongst my favorite Uzi albums, but you know what? It was good to have him back. He still has some really, really good songs that were playlist worthy in this, but I'm only going to give it a 7.8. Nowhere near album of the year, so if they told you that, they were lying. But Uzi's back, and you know, there's some good stuff in there. There's some good stuff in there amongst all of the filter. Or filler, should I say. NBA free agency, really, because I had to give NBA free agency its own segment. This was really a segment I wish I could have done in Charlotte with the boys, because it would have been so thrilling to hear us all go back and forth over where we thought some of these deals were quality or not. But here we are. It's me. Damian Lillard is requested a trade. Finally, thank God, Dame. Thank God. I mean, it's been 15 billion years since the dawn of Christ. We never thought it would happen. I never thought I'd see this day. And I'm so sorry, Trailblazers fans, because this probably feels like I'm praying on your downfall. But I'm really not. It's just that Dame needs to go play for a contender. And straight up, at least for now, y'all have done a good job investing into your future. The Trailblazers are not a contender. They're not winning the finals. They're not competing at a high level. It's not happening. It's a rebuild. Damian Lillard would be much, much better going to somewhere where he can play important basketball. So finally he has decided upon that. I kind of saw this coming. I said, last week? When they picked Scoot, I was like, I don't see how this works. I don't see how Scoot, Dame, Anthony Simons, and Shaedon Sharpe works. And neither did Dame. Neither did Dame, apparently, because he requested a trade. A lot of people are saying the Heat is the preferred location or where they expect him. I would also probably prefer that because it just makes sense. Now, what would the Heat have to give back to get Dame is the real question. Do the Blazers even want Tyler Hero, who's the person that's caught up a lot? They're not trading Jimmy. They're not trading Bam. They don't really have that much left from free agency because Struss is gone. Gabe Vincent is gone. We will talk about that very soon. So what would the Heat give up? Do they give up a bunch of draft capital? Would it take a third team? Like, what do they have to do to get Damian Lillard? Because I think that would be a really, really good move. And probably the favorite move. If I had to pick just in terms of like balancing. But yeah, we will see. But yes, Dame has finally requested a trade. We will see what happens there. He ain't the only superstar. Oh, well, if we're still calling James Harden a superstar, he might just be star quality now. But you know what? The man still averaged 20 and 10 last season, all right? He hasn't fallen off that much. Now, the Sixers are cursed to never do anything in the playoffs. But, yeah, Harden re-signed. But to be traded, they're working on a deal. I don't know where Harden's going to go, to be completely honest. A lot of people were like, yo, the Rockets. But we will talk about the Rockets and everything they did. But no, I don't really know. I do not know. I can't, think of a team that, that works for Harden, but they're going to try to work something out. We will see. It could be this is the end of Harden on a contender. He could be a tank commander like Russ from now on. I don't know. We will see. But, yeah, the Sixers plan on trading Harden. You would have to think they're trying to get something back to pair with Embiid. But, yeah, I don't know. Unlike Dame, where it's he makes sense. I don't know exactly where Harden will go, but we will see, and we'll talk about that, of course, here on the A15 Exchange. Everybody re-signed, all right? Let's talk free agency now. Everybody re-signed, okay? Draymond, 4 years, $100 million. Kyrie, 3 years, $126. First off, I want to say, not that Kyrie is Rich Paul, but Rich Paul, of course, it is his season. Really, I should sub out Jimmy Butler and put Rich Paul during free agency on the most dangerous persons list because he is he is him. He is him. It is his season. It is Rich Paul season. It is him. If you want your money, Rich Paul's going to get you your money and some. All right? He's him. He is the best agent in the game. That's all I got to say about that. Back to the superstars. All right? Tyrese Halliburton. That is a crazy thing to say. Tyrese Halliburton, back to the superstars. Anyways, Halliburton is a star. 5 years, $260. He got the Supermax from Indiana, but it makes sense. He's emerging as one of the top point guards in the league. Desmond Bane getting 5 years, $207 is kind of insane. He's a very good player, a great shooter, and definitely an asset for the Grizzlies long term. But 5 years, I know the cap's supposed to be going up, but 5 years, $207 is just crazy in my head. But, Grizzlies fans, it might be worth it. It might be worth it. That's a lot of money, though, for Desmond Bane. LaMelo Ball. I didn't think he was staying. I don't think anybody besides maybe some people on the Hornets, but nobody that I talked to, not even I, thought that he was staying in the 704. I did not. Did not. I thought he was going home to Cali. I'm going to be honest. But you know what? LaMelo Ball is here to stay in Charlotte. 5 years, 260. It's the Supermax of a rookie extension. So, 260 not guaranteed. Similar to Holly and similar to DeMontis. Or actually not DeMontis, but to Holly. But the potential to aim that 260 through, different incentives. But Melo is staying. Did not expect that, but he is. And, of course, like I said, Sabonis staying with the Kings makes sense. 5 years, 217. He's one of the franchise cornerstones over there in Sacramento. So it makes sense. Sabonis, he will be staying a Sacramento King. Good re-signing there. Probably worth the money, to be completely honest, because he has been a major part of bringing them back to relevancy. Now, the Los Angeles Lakers. All right, we gave Rob Pelinka hell in the first part of the season. The first half, really the first 3 quarters, up until the trade deadline, we gave Rob Pelinka hell. We were like, Braun has no help. AD is fragile. The Lakers are finished. Wahala, the Lakers are finished. They're not going to do nothing. He made some trades. He made some good moves. And they made the conference finals. Got swept by the NBA champions, but made the conference finals. Not completely their fault they got swept. They just weren't on that level. And, of course, Braun is injured. But he has done wonders here in free agency for the Lakers. He got everybody back. Austin Reeves, who people were worried was going to get the max. Apparently that didn't happen. 4 years, 56 feels kind of a little bit like a robbery for what people were talking about his value could be. But I guess, being top white boy in LA pays off and has its perks, commercially. So maybe he didn't need all the contract money with all the ad revenue he's about to be bringing in. But they get Reeves back, 4 years, 56, which was huge. They get deloading back, which, he's still a good player and still an asset. Rui's back, and they signed Gabe Vincent. I mean, a great job from LA. One of the winners of free agency so far. We will see what happens. But, yeah, they've done a great job building depth and keeping people to build around that team and try to get back to the, NBA Finals. So, yes, a good job for the Lakers. I feel like I haven't said that in the offseason in a while. But a great job depth-wise. And, yeah, Rob Pelinka, he's cooking. Just like Rich Paul, Rob Pelinka is cooking. Bruce Brown, defending champions. We talked about them. He's headed to the Pacers. Joins up with Halliburton, 3 years, 45. Great job. He cashed in. He was great for the, the Nuggets down the stretch. We will see if he can continue that ascent or if he is what he is in Indiana. Now, the Rockets are not cooking. They are not cooking at all. I mean, it has been a disastrous week for the Houston Rockets. After they had a good draft week, it has just not been a great weekend. It's just not been a great week for the Houston Rockets. All right, I'm not going to talk about the Jalen Green stuff. I do not wish to talk about that. I didn't even really want to watch it because I thought it was real with the way y'all were talking about it. And I was like, I just do not want to have my imagery of what Jalen Green is to be tarnished. But, yeah, I'm not going to talk about those videos, okay? I'm not even going to recommend you go watch those videos, okay? I don't want to talk about it. The Rockets got Federico, who Champagne Poppy left the heartfelt Guangdong Tiger. Houston Rockets, welcome to. But Federico, 4 years, 130. That's a lot of money for Fred VanVleet. But the Rockets need a point guard, and I don't think it's going to be KPJ long term, unfortunately. So they go with VanVleet to at least be a veteran presence, which the Rockets need. Okay, let's be honest, they need it, and FEV could possibly be that. So they paid him. He's tank commander, and maybe he can help facilitate JG, Bari, Amen, KPJ if he's going to be there, and Sengun. So it could work out. Tari Eason, like I said, they got a really good young core, so getting a Federico VanVleet could work out. That could be very, very good. However, they also got Dylan Brooks. We all thought Dylan Brooks was going to China. Instead, he's going to China's favorite team, shout out to Yao Ming, for 4 years, $80 million. Now, I know we all joke about Dylan Brooks because he has god-awful shot selection, and he's just easily one of the most hateable people in the league, but he's a solid player, all right? Objectively, he's a solid player. He's a good defender, mostly. He made the all-defensive team, so he qualifies as a good defender. But, we'll see how that works in Houston. All right, we'll see how Dylan Brooks works in Houston. They gave him $20 million a year. We will see. I'm not gonna be like, yo, that's a great steal, but they got him. We'll see if it works out. I don't know if he's the veteran presence that the Houston Rockets need, but I don't know. Maybe he builds a culture over there with Federico. We will see. And to end off the NBA segment, I'm not even going to post up anything for this, but you know what? Shout out to the New York Knicks. They got that whole national... Well, did they win a national championship? Yeah, they did. I think that team won that. Or no, maybe that was the year after. Anyways, that elite era, Jay Wright, Villanova team, they got the Three Musketeers back, all right? Josh Hart, Brunson, and now Dante DiVincenzo, which is a really good pickup, I think, for the Knicks. He's a great rebounding guard, and he can get a bucket. He's a good asset. He's a good role player. And to pair him alongside, obviously, chemistry with Hart, and, of course, Brunson, who's now your franchise piece, I think it's a good move. So, yeah, Knicks getting all the Nova boys back. We will see what happens there. But, yeah, NBA free agency off to a very, very hot start. All right, ladies and gentlemen, with that said, that means we have reached the Roundup. And of course, we have both major series in motorsports back this week. For F1, we were at the Red Bull Ring, Austria. I don't need to tell you who won, okay? You know who won. I'm not even going to say his name. I'm going to see if I can just go the segment and not even say his name. You know who won. It's the same guy that's won all year, same manufacturer. He's going to win his third World Drivers' Championship. It's the same guy. I'm not going to say his name, not because I don't adore him, but simply for the fact I don't need to. You know what happened, all right? Charles Leclerc, excuse me. Charles got second. Welcome back to the podium, Charles. It's been a long time, Ferrari, okay? It's been a long time, but it's nice to see Charles back, all right? Checo, despite not even making Q3 yet again in qualifying, again is in that overpowered Red Bull car and was able to mosey himself back up and drive himself up into the podium. He gets third. Sainz and him battled. It was a really good battle. This was actually a really entertaining race. Besides, you know who being 20 seconds above second place. This was actually a really entertaining race. The feature race as well on Saturday was really, really entertaining. Once again, the guy who I don't need to say who won, obviously, was like 12 seconds ahead of second place, but it was still an entertaining race. You know, if you just act like second place is first place, these are really, really good races. I mean, really, really thrilling races. As long as you just act like they're fighting for second place, because that's what it is. They're fighting for second place because you know who is winning the championship, and I don't know if he's ever going to lose again unless he does something and crashes out. He's just it's not fair. It's really not fair. Please nerf Red Bull because it's getting out of hand. All right, it's getting out of hand. Another dominant win for the boy who does not need to be named. However, we do need to say Shane Van Gisbergen's name. SVG. All right, supercar legend, the Kiwi, two-time champion, comes over to NASCAR for NASCAR Chicago, which was a brilliant week, and then Chicago, who was in the midst of a major drought. Of course, NASCAR's luck, they have a flood, a literal flood on Sunday. So they have to get the track ready. The Xfinity race gets canceled after a couple laps. A lot of controversy about that. They do get to actually do the Cup race. However, they cut it 25 laps short. Either way, it was a very entertaining race. Because, Noah Gragson was in love with crashing out in turn 6, which he did not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 times. And just because everybody was sliding, which was either heartbreaking or hilarious. I do want to see a picture of that Kyle Busch, of Kyle Busch hitting the wall and all of the water coming out of the tires, because I just feel like it would be a great artistic shot. And a really good summary of NASCAR Chicago. It was a mess, an entertaining mess, so I guess that's a success. Because they probably did a really, really good number. Adam Stern will, of course, tell us on Twitter tomorrow. But very, very much so a mess. An entertaining mess nonetheless. NASCAR Chicago delivered. And it delivered a first-time winner. One of the ringers, SVG. Like I said, he wins a dramatic, in the last 5 laps, a dramatic last lap pass of Haley. He goes on, holds them off, wins, does an epic burnout, and then celebrates the way a Kiwi should. So, yeah. A success. It didn't look like it. I didn't even know. I was texting my NASCAR people and I was about to say, yo, do y'all even think y'all going to race, today? But they got it off, and it ended up being very entertaining. We will see what happens next year. But you know what? I think NASCAR Chicago was a success. Somehow, some way, they pulled it off. Shout out to SVGA. He wants to come full-time, and I think he deserves a seat if he's going to win in his first start. So, yeah. Shout out to the boy. He gets the win in NASCAR Chicago. UFC. Alright, we are at the apex still for whatever reason. I do not know. But anyways, we had a UFC Fight Night event. Shane Strickland headlined versus Magomedov. He knocked him out on strikes in round 2, made a statement. You know what? Strickland needed that. All right, this was the day that the hype died. All right, Botham got worked. I forget what other prospect got worked, and Magomedov got worked, okay? All of your hyped prospects came to die, okay? Strickland gets it done. Kevin Lee, who I didn't know was Keith Lee's brother. And you know what? Maybe he should start doing food reviews with his brother because this fighting game is not for him anymore. The Motown Phenom is not a phenom anymore. You know what? The only thing that was phenomenal was how quick he got submitted on Saturday. I mean, it was truly wondrous. I mean, a wonder to watch how a man gets submitted that fast. But you know what? It took 1 minute. 1 minute into his return for Kevin Lee to not only get knocked down, but to get choked out to sleep, to which he face planted. Face planted. In a minute. Please, just go do food reviews with your brother. The fight game has passed you. You're done. Now, the UFC didn't do him any favors. They gave him a killer, but that's the fight game, as they say. We do have a UFC event coming up this weekend, which, of course, we will be watching. It is an absolutely stacked card. I couldn't list all of the matches that I would be willing to watch this coming Saturday, but we do have the main event, the co-main for us to, the first three, the main three, okay? The main three because they're really, 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 really important. UFC 290, all right? Volk versus Yair. Massive, 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 massive. Yair, I don't know if he's still interim champ or if they strip that away. But anyways, him and Volk are going at it. Volk, of course, looking to truly, without a doubt, become the featherweight GOAT, which I think he probably does if he just takes care of Yair in thrilling fashion. But, I probably got Volk in this because he's Volk, okay? He's pound for pound number 1. He's that guy, okay? If he's not pound for pound number 1, he's pound for pound top 2, top 3. He's that guy, all right? Volk is Volk. Yair is Yair, but Volk is Volk, and I think Volk's got it probably by decision. I don't see a finish. Could be a finish here, but I'd probably say decision. But yeah, Volk is Volk. We also have Brandon Moreno versus Pantoja. Two of the heaviest hitting small guys you will ever see in your life. Moreno has been a great champion. Pantoja is a worthy challenger. I think it's going to be a very exciting fight. Another instant classic, potentially a fight of the year candidate for sure, because Brandon Moreno does that. And Pantoja, he's got excitement with him too. Pantoja could pull it off. I'm not going to say he can't. All right, I'm not going to say he can't pull it off. We've seen Moreno lose, but that was to Figueiredo, who was a different level than almost everybody else. But we will see if Pantoja was on that level, and if he's good enough, I wouldn't rule it out. But Moreno, probably somebody who I favored in this matchup because he'll finish. Robert Whittaker and Driscus are facing off in what is the number 1 contender spot for the middleweight title. Izzy wants Driscus, partially because he has beef with Driscus, and partially because he's tired of beating everybody he's already beat before. This would be Rob's fourth fight versus Izzy, I think, or would it be the trilogy? Trilogy or the 4th? It might be the trilogy. Or is it the 4th? Now I can't remember. Y'all let me know. But yeah. He's beaten Rob already, multiple times. We've seen it. Kind of want Driscus to win, but also I don't want to see Rob lose to Driscus, so I'm really split on that one. We will see, all right? If Driscus Duplantis is that guy, we going to find out, because Robert Whittaker has been the number 2 middleweight in the world that really could be champion if Israel Adesanya had not been born for a very, very long time, but we will see. All right, we will see. That is the number 1 contenders matchup. I know we've got everybody, but this is the number 1 contenders matchup. Winner faces Izzy. Let's see who wins. And to end off, Jared Anderson beats Charles Martin. Martin, of course, on like 11 days' notice, and gave Anderson some problems, showed some holes. Anderson's only 23. I know he did the whole, which every fighter does nowadays. I want to make a bunch of money, and then I want to retire early, which never happens. Even with Teofimo Lopez doing it literally 2 weeks ago, I still am not sold on Teo doing it. But we will see. Alright, but Jared Anderson, he gets the win by decision. First time, I think, in his career. I think everything else has been a finish so far. Skin, the potential was there. He looked very good, but he also had some holes that Martin exposed. So we will see. We will see if he can, patch those up and become the next great American heavyweight, which a lot of people are tagging him as. But he did work. He got the win. We will see what happens. But yeah, next week, UFC 290 and a whole lot more. But for now, Ocho signing off.